President, please be seated. The court is back in session. Now, I will hand over the floor to Judge Momoni Charia to put questions to this witness. Judge Momoni Charia, thank you very much, Mr. President and the bench. I know you have been tired since the morning, but please be patient. We are going to end very soon. I have listened attentively to your testimonies since the morning, but there are some points which I need to seek your clarification. You stated that you attended and participated in meetings, and the word enemy was used in the democratic Cambodia. What do you understand from this word, and what kind of people were considered enemy? Witness, I would like to give my response concerning the word enemy. As far as I am concerned, the word enemy was generally termed that, and it was referred to those who were against the revolution. And the word enemy was never used during the meeting that I attended. And as you stated, if worker in the ploughing unit broke the materials, he or she would be considered an enemy because he or she was accused of breaking material and destroying agricultural production. This is one example. And another example concerned the individual who were working and fell sick. If they fell sick and did not go to work in time, these people could also be considered enemies. So the word enemy were termed and used to alert and to intimidate people at that time, and I was afraid of being accused of an enemy as well. Judge Moni Charia, I would like to ask for your elaboration on the word enemy. I am now referring to the former soldier in a Lon regime. The soldiers who were living in your commune, were they considered enemy, or they were considered enemy only if they were acting in the region, in your commune? Answer. At my commune, I did not consider these people enemies. I noted that they were children of base people. And I alerted and advised to my colleagues that although they were former civil servant or soldier in the former regime, they were ordinary citizens. But if these people committed a riot or any action against us, they would be considered enemies. Question. You stated about two meetings. One, you state that there was an education meeting or there was a conference, and perhaps there may have been confusion in the two words you used. You stated that you attended education meetings and conferences perhaps before the 17th April 1975. I would like to seek your confirmation whether you attended those meetings before 17 April 1975 or after that time. President interrupt. Mr. Witness, please wait for the microphone to go on before you speak. Answer. The word conference and training sessions or study sessions, I use this term. In the period of 1971, the word conference and study sessions were generally used. And usually in these meetings were held to educate people about agricultural production. And the meeting was also held to announce the liberation of some certain areas, such as in Ta Keo province and in other zones. There were study sessions held as well in the period of 1971, and there were documents concerning National United Front. And in this meeting, mutual farming was also discussed. Judge Momni Jaya, Mr. Witness, please listen carefully to my question. I would like to ask you about the time that the meetings were held. I would like to know whether those study sessions and conference taking place after 1975, after 17 April 1975, or before that time. Answer. Concerning the summary conferences, said the witness, they were held before 1975, and these conferences were held annually in the forest. And as for study sessions, after 1975, I observed that there were study sessions, one morning study session at Phnom Krail to disseminate policy on education regarding people in the city and base people in regions. Question. I would like to summarize what you have just stated. You recalled that you attended the two meetings, once in Ta Keo and another one at Krail Mountain. From my understanding, there were other meetings as well from the period of 1971 and 1975, and I am not sure which meetings you are referring to. I understand that you attended one study session at Krail Mountain after 1975, and you also stated that you attended another meeting before 1975. When was it exactly? Answer: the meeting held in Takao province was after 1975. Mic is not activated. Judge Momni Charya, from your statement, there was a meeting which Tamok participated, and in that meeting Tamok did not address the meeting, but Saum did, and Saum advised that former soldier of Donald should not be harmed. And after you heard the statement, such statement made by the Saum, what was the reaction of Tamok at that time?
បាទខ្ញុំសូមធ្វើ
Answer: the Saum addressed the meeting at that time, and there was no reaction from Tamok because the policy at that time was the low respects the higher upper echelon. So I believe that the instruction was also from Tamok, that is the zone leader. I have another question to put to you. You stated this morning as well concerning the ultimate decision on life and death issues, and you stated that only the party center could make ultimate decision on lives of people, and the commune and district level did not hold such rights. So could you explain on that?
សូមកុំអាចឆ្លើយចាំ
Mr. Witness, you are reminded to observe the microphone before you speak.
បាទសូម
Answer: before I made the report to the district level, we had a consensus within the commune level, and as I stated, in one commune committee there were 3, 4, or 5 members, and after the committee discussed the matter among the secretary and members about certain action happening at the commune, and we discussed what action should we do and what kind of content should we put in the report. And after the discussion, we would only report on what we have agreed. This is the working approach. This was the working approach among my committee at that time. Judge Amamuni Jaya, thank you very much. President, now I would like to hand over the floor to Judge Milad to put question to this witness. You may now proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, can I please refer one more time to this meeting at Takeo? Could you possibly recall how long after the liberation was that meeting held?
Witness. It was 5 days after, and the meeting was pretty large as cadres from various provinces, including Takao, Kampot, and Kampong Speu, and Sector 25 attended the meeting.
Precisely 5 days. Do I hear correctly?
បាទពី
I think I recall it clearly now. It was 5 days, not 3 days.
លោកមេធាវីជ្រាប
How would you explain the necessity of this order that was issued at this meeting, or announced at this meeting, about sparing the soldiers?
During the 5-day study session, in fact, the study sessions were only for 3 days, and then we would do self-criticism for 2 days. The first day was about the economics, and the second day was about solidarity within the party. By that time, the word parties was used, and the third day was about strengthening the cooperatives at the basis. And the remaining 2 days were for us to reflect ourselves during these so-called criticism and self-criticism meetings. Every one of us would take the floor, and questions or comments or criticism would be made. And that applies to every participant. Thank you.
But the representation that was made in this meeting, according to your testimony today and earlier, that the Lon Nol soldiers from Colonel down were not to be harmed, was this necessitated by any event that happened before this meeting? Or how would you explain there was a reason for this statement, for this directive?
Allow me to respond. First, the meeting was held at Krau Mountains, that is after 17 April 1975, meaning after the entire country had been liberated. And secondly, I have already reiterated my point on the content of the meeting. We were instructed to collect forces, to build forces, because in each commune it was unavoidable that people at the base had relatives living in the cities. So they want the base people and the new people to be at ease with one another when those people were sent from the cities back to the respective villages. Because although they lived in the cities, their parents, their members of the families contributed to the movement of the revolution by sacrificing their time, their property, their cattle, for instance.
business. I understand the overall ideology that you convey, but was there any practical necessity to issue such order? Was there a threat of people getting killed that prompted this order? Or was there a question asked by the collective who participated in this meeting? We are just wondering what prompted the issuance of this directive or order.
I didn't know the details of the matter or their policies. However, I can speak about my Chiengtong commune. Those people who had ranks or lower ranks or corporal or private who lived in my commune, they were not harmed. But I cannot say about them living in other communes.
I would like to ask the question that was asked but was not answered, whether that order was followed in your commune. This is how we are to understand it?
Allow me to respond. In my commune, we educated the people, and that is in theory, but the actual implementation was non-existent regarding those former soldiers or civil servants. And that's what happened on the ground in my commune.
Implementation was not what? Excuse me, I'm asking the translation.
I refer to the implementation of the policies that the former policemen or soldiers were to be sent.
Was this order or directive ever formally rescinded, revoked, or disobeyed?
Fitness on the issue of the instruction, and I refer to the villages in my commune. We carried out the instruction, but I cannot tell you to what extent the instruction had been implemented. However, allow me to elaborate a little bit further. At one point in time, I attended a meeting at the district, and the mayor said that we, at the best, if we saw soldiers coming to make their own station in our commune or their barrack in our commune, then we should not interfere and we should allow them to do so. This did not happen in my commune. I did not see soldiers coming to camp in my commune at all.
Going back to my question, maybe just part of it, has this order ever been changed?
No, there was no change to the standing instruction.
ប៉ុន្តែសូមជម្រាប
However, allow me to add that in late 77 and early 78, there was an instruction from the upper level where the secretary of the commune received. And by that time, I was demoted from my position and to become an honorary member, so I was not aware of the details or the content of that instruction received by the secretary.
And in general, sketch what would this instruction would have been about? You were not aware of details, but from what you know, what was it about?
ចំពោះសេចក្តី
It is my understanding that the instruction was to gather all kinds of forces available in order to form just one unity to live as one nation. The Mok said we had to increase our production and to defend our country.
Was this considered a change from the policy of not touching the former London soldiers?
From what I saw at Krang Tachan and at the Tuol Slai, I made a conclusion that there was a change, and it's because of those who died that led to a shift in the instruction.
Thank you.
President. Mr. Witness, I'd like to seek a minor clarification from you. You just stated that the meeting after the liberation was at Tribunal Mountain and another one was held at the Kao province. Was the one held at the Kao convened long after the country had been liberated? Answer. Your Honor, the meeting held at the Tribunal Mountain was about 2 months after the entire country had been liberated. As for the meeting held in the Kao, it was in late 1976. It was around December 1976. Thank you, Your Honor. President, we don't have any more questions for you, Mr. Witness, and we are grateful for your time to testify before us. And you may now be excused from the courtroom. The Chamber would like to inform the parties and everyone else that we adjourn the proceedings today and resume tomorrow in order to hear testimony of ICW3 commencing from 9 o'clock in the morning. security personnel and started to take the accused back to the detention facility and have them return to the courtroom before the commencement of the proceedings. The hearing is now adjourned.
សូមអញ្ជើញក្រុមចូល